I was thinking a lot about disappointment today. Disappointment is something I feel like I've experienced a lot in the past few years with my business and my life. And I was just sort of thinking of the nature of disappointment and really what it's had to teach me over the last few years. And I think the number one thing it's had to teach me is that disappointment in itself is this massive opportunity to create more of what I want in my life. Because when I think about disappointment or I feel disappointment in my business or in my life or in my relationship, it's really just showing me where I veered off course. So number one, disappointment gives me the opportunity to take responsibility for where my life is at, where my relationship is at, where my business is at. If I'm not happy with where things are, obviously it's the things that I'm doing and the ways that I'm thinking and the ways that I'm acting on a daily basis that inform what is happening overall. And so for me, and I'm sure for everyone, it's challenging to look at that disappointment because you really have to honor yourself and your decisions while taking responsibility for the fact that if you're not happy where you are, that ultimately you are the one that has got you there. And for me, sort of taking responsibility for the decisions of my life over the last few years has been groundbreaking this year, because as a result, I was able to move past this like victimhood that is disappointment and move into a place where I'm like, okay, well, if I'm so massively disappointed with where I am, then where do I want to be instead? And how do I get there? Right? Because for me, sometimes I feel like I'm just constantly taking action and I'm constantly doing those things. But at the end of the day, if the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm saying aren't actually moving me in the direction that I want to go, then it's all a moot point. And so for me, I feel like there are these different levels of honesty I have with myself. And every year that I grow, I'm able to become more honest with myself about the answers to questions like, what do I want? You know, I feel like I used to ask myself this question, and for years I would just almost convince myself that I wanted things that were either conventional or accepted or just like inside the box, or just things that weren't scary, because all of the things that I really wanted were scary and all of the things that I really wanted, you know, weren't conventional. And so really looking at on a daily basis, are the decisions that I'm making actually going to take me towards what I want? And it's not a simple question, and it's something we really need to sit with. I feel like there have been things that I've wanted for years that I've sort of danced around of, and that I've danced around, and then I've talked about them and, you know, envisioned them. But at the end of the day, have I actually taken massive action towards getting those things? Well, the answer in past, before this year, was no. And so it's led me to years worth of frustration about not being in a certain place. But if I'm not taking the steps that allow me to get to that place, then, you know, ultimately I'm the one responsible, right? And I think disappointment tends to become this, you know, again, whether we're disappointed overall with our life or our career or our relationships or our finances, whatever it is, you know, it's really easy to get in this state of like victimhood about it, you know, like, why isn't the universe, why isn't God providing for me in the way that I want? And this is completely absurd because it gives all our power away. Now, don't get me wrong, when I say it's absurd, I did this for the majority of my life, and I still get into this victim mentality. So I am definitely not holier than thou, but I do know that it's not the way, because it gives away all your power and it makes it seem as if you're not the one who's in control of your life. And at the end of the day, everything is energy. Our thoughts are the biggest way this energy goes out into the universe and comes back to us. And so what we're doing, what we're saying is what becomes. And so, yeah, in a nutshell, that was sort of my thought for the day. Because I was on the spin bike this morning and I was thinking about disappointment, and even though I wasn't experiencing it, it's like I was I was remembering how much I had felt disappointed in the last couple years. And what I do when I feel things really intensely that I don't want to feel is that I flip them. I say, so what is, what I actually say is, if this were filtered through light and love, what would it be? So if I have this big feeling of like disappointment or sadness, it's like, okay, if I filtered this through light and love, divine perfection, what would I see instead? And when I asked myself this question when I was on the bike this morning, the answer was, what if I filtered disappointment through light and love, what would I see? And I thought to myself, opportunity to get everything that I want. That is the opposite of disappointment. And so, yeah, I hope this was helpful for you today. Just some thoughts. We're all on these journeys trying to be the best people we can be and live the best life we can. And it's nice to know we're not doing it alone. So sending you loads of light and love, and I'll see you soon.